to order at 5:03. All are present except
Linda.
yeah. So, some of you might have to use probably have to use your mouse, I was told, instead of
If the touch screen doesn't work.
Yeah, if the touch screen doesn't work, that's why the mouse is there. They're brand new touch screens. So, yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
Minutes.
I move we accept as they stand.
Okay, for a second.
That'd be the, point of order.
Yes.
We have 2 sets of minutes to approve.
Yeah.
May and June.
But I don't think I attached.
They're here.
I just have
For
the
May and
Just
June.
June's just there.
Oh, you only have the
June is
June?
there.
Yeah.
Okay, they both go to the June, I see.
Yeah, and you know what? I was supposed to bring April because remember how I talked about we discovered that there were some minutes
Yeah.
that we didn't formally approve and we missed and I forgot completely.
We can pick that up.
Okay. So,
Okay,
That's
so I move
correct.
to approve May's minutes.
okay.
It's June's minutes.
Or June's, well,
Thank you.
fine,
Yeah.
whichever way.
Yeah, her second.
Just
Or was
move it
it?
along.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Doug, are you here for public comment? No. Okay.
Seeing as nobody else.
Seeing there's nobody else, moving along.
All right.
Shut it off during the discussion. Thought I turned it back on.
All right, so the director's report and statistics. So we're hanging in there, kind of that mid-90s range. So we're doing pretty good, and the door count is 97% of last year. So, you know, our numbers have not declined yet. That will come. We have more money than we did last year. Now, June is the end of the fiscal year. So this is, we kind of start over for next year. So one interesting thing to note is that the self-checks were up for the year, but the internet use was down for the year. And it's random, you know, 275, that's not thousands, you know, it's kind of in the same ballpark, but I just, you know, we'll have to look and see if that's a trend or anything. But we are tracking a new statistic, which is Wi-Fi usage, which is really cool because then, you know, maybe as that goes up, the internet use goes down, we can kind of see if there's a correlation.
Phones and iPads and
Yeah, no, and we know there's all kinds of charging going on, that's for sure. So, so where is that on here? So it's, yeah.
racial statistics.
So it's substantial. It's down there under the computer sessions. So that's kind of helpful.
Well, I wonder if that isn't something we should maybe bring up in the construction meeting about design, because I think there is a trend away from the internet direct use. We may not need to buy as many desktops as opposed to providing just the wireless access. And I'd like to hear from Dennis Humphreys on that. So that was something that we were.
Well, we could ask. I mean, I think that when we only have like in the new internet section, I think we have 4 tables with 3 each. So we only have 12 internet spots that are hardwired. So that's not very many. You know, it's not like we're adding a gazillion. We're only going from like 8 to 12. So, you know, we're only adding 50%. So I think that's very reasonable. And we're keeping it, well, and that's not 100% true because then we're adding some in the children's. We're doubling the children's access, which will be really nice though.
You'll have 6 then?
6 in children's. And what's nice about the children's ones is where we're going to get those tables that have 2 seats to each computer so that they can sit with an adult or they can sit with a friend and it's not like create a big ruckus, you know, like it does now. Yeah, can't even tell you. All kinds of Twitter-pated people. But, so I think we're probably okay.
Okay.
And I think we've gone over the, you know, electrical outlets and stuff to make sure that there was lots of places people could charge, so that people could land themselves a lot of different places for just that kind of use, the Wi-Fi. And we'll, of course, since we're on different floors, we'll make sure we've got enough Wi-Fi antenna stuff going on so that there's good coverage.
I just suspect you've got a trend that's
It could be.
that's going to be pretty typical.
Yeah, but you know, if we have to reduce back to 8, that's just one table, and
Sure.
you know, it just opens up space then in the back of that internet area, for instance. You know, and we could make more teen materials or more seating or something. So I don't think it's too bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your Wi-Fi runs 24/7, right?
You know, I think it's set to go off at like 10 o'clock at night or some such thing. It's very powerful. You know,
Okay.
it goes like
I've
all the way
seen,
to the Pioneer
I've seen small
Center.
groups of people with devices on your front step late at night.
Yeah.
Sucking in some Wi-Fi there, so.
Yeah, and they also like to charge their devices, or at least
Is there a plug in there?
we've turned them off though.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had covers on them and they were breaking the covers and blah blah blah, and it's
Power, man.
I know it's power. It's, you know, not 24/7 power. So
Okay.
yeah. Anyway. So any questions about the statistics? Oh, one thing I wanted to point out is that we did do a lot more children's programs, and we did have several hundred more people in attendance for children's programs. And
157 for juggling?
yeah, the summer programs are ridiculous. Yeah, it was really funny because Commissioner Shaw went to, he's got Madison, his granddaughter, and last week, maybe the week before, he took her to story time, and then he took her to the program because somebody recommended it's the same day, you know? And he's like, geez, oh, you got all kinds of people on these things. And there was like 35 people at the story time, and then I think it was the 157 or whatever, and they're so big that you know, we have to tell the parents to like go stand outside. They're at the Pioneer Center downstairs,
Yeah.
and like go stand outside because, you know, you don't care if you see this, right? It's for the kids, right? And you know, that is, I mean, we're not going to be able to accommodate that size crowd even in our community room. So we may have to go to having like 2 shows a day, which is what you kind of end up doing at the bigger libraries, just because they're so popular too. So, you know, having a good turnout is awesome, and it's those are problems you want to have, but you do have to deal with them, you know. So, yeah, that's a lot of people.
For juggling.
I know, for juggling, right? People are looking for good stuff to do, you know. I know. Well, they get pretty impressive, yeah. So
I see that you've had a lot more materials withdrawn this year. I assume that's part of trying to pare down for the.
a lot of that is happening up at in storage. So what we discovered this year is that a bunch of those statistics were not showing up for months later, and it's kind of a technical reason. But we've resolved that so that those numbers turn over a lot more quickly, because I was like going, we have to reduce our collection. Oh my gosh, you guys, you know, this is nuts. Because, and I also knew that those books now, or those items, have been in storage for 5 years. You know, do we want them in our new library? Very unlikely, you know. So we're finally seeing some of those real-time numbers, and there was like a big drop all of a sudden, and it's good though, because we still don't have like just as much room as we would love, you know, because one thing is that in the new building, like say upstairs, you know, in order to really enjoy the windows and the tree canopy and the view and the this and the that, you can't have 8-foot stacks. I mean, that would block the entire view. So you want to keep the stacks down to a reasonable height, but then that reduces the size of your collection. So I mean, it's this real trade-off with the kind of building that we have specifically designed and the collection desire. So I think we're always going to have to be really on top of our collection development game and really do kind of that constant, we call it weeding, which doesn't sound so good to people who don't know, but you know, really keep it a very good collection.
No, but it's a matter of okay, these things are going to stay in the active collection for X number of months, and depending on turnover, and they might cycle out, and you have another group that comes in. So you're not keeping the same things in storage the whole time.
Well, we're not going to have storage once we open,
Right.
So, I mean, that's the kind of things that cycles off to the Friends. So, you know, when you buy more copies of the new stuff, and then if it's not, after a while, it's not new. So then you're like, okay, well, we'll have 2 copies on the shelf. We don't need 10 copies anymore, you know. So it's that kind of thing where.
You don't see very many trends like Harry Potter, where you need
No.
150 copies per branch.
Right,
to keep
right.
it.
Fortunately, you don't see that many. Yeah, trends like
They're
that.
fat. And they
I know, and they take up
Shelf
so much space. Yeah,
Even the Twilight books or 50 Shades of Grey or whatever happens to be the hot thing right now.
and they're much smaller too. Yeah, so.
Much less wordy.
Well, and they're much less worthy of reading, yes. But yeah, so
In my opinion.
it's just kind of one of those constant processes that if you're not really at the library, you're not realizing is going on quite so much. But yeah.
Okay.
So other statistical questions. We came in kind of right where I estimated for receipt or above for receipts. Well, that's kind of good, since we kind of count on that tiny chunk to help us out. And the reference thing is, it's always off because we're always like getting people who count reference stuff better than other people, or we change what we're counting or whatever. So I apologize for that. It's very inconsistent, but it's happening. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So the rest of June, you could see what the events were. I'm not like creating too many future events, but they're going to be happening. You know, I'm just like a little shy about creating too many going into construction. The First Friday films are going to be changed to Second Friday films. We were starting to have conflicts with First Friday downtown, and we didn't want to have that conflict. So we just thought we'd change it. Not randomly. This was initiated by the attendees, many of whom come every month. And so they were the ones who suggested it, and I'm like, I'm totally on board with you. We'll do something different. We'll be Second Friday people. So that starts in September. And then Linda and I went to San Francisco along with Laura, who I saw at the conference. That was great, and it was a fabulous conference. It was just a really good conference, and then the timing was amazing as well, because we were there during Pride Week, and we were there for the big parade, and of course with the pretty historic ruling that the Supreme Court made like 2 days before that. It was a pretty vibrant atmosphere.
Vibrant's a good word.
Even more than usual. Yeah.
Not saying something for San Francisco.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, ecstatic, exhilarated, insane. It was a lot of fun. But the conference was really, really good. And Linda and I came home with a lot of brochures we were mostly focusing on furniture and equipment and RFID equipment. So we talked to a lot of vendors, came home with a lot of brochures, and it's very timely because the architect and I have already had a couple conversations that will continue in depth, because we just want to really map out where we're going with a lot of this stuff. And it doesn't have to be decided to the letter today, but we definitely want to know where we're headed, and we definitely want to know we're headed in the same direction, so that no one party is taken off too far without the other party, you know? We don't want that. So it's good. We saw lots of really functional and good-looking furniture, I thought. They're really starting to get it, you know, so that it works. And we went to a session, Laura was at this, where they presented the companies who had won like the best of in furniture this year, which included things like screens that are made out of plastic, that you can, that are movable, and you can like write on one side and you can tack stuff up on the other side, just all kinds of variations on that, very brightly colored, so that you could create some privacy and some spaces just by having a couple of those screens around. So I'm already, thinking of places like in the teen room where that might be good, or down in the community room having a few of those, so that you could have more than one thing going on in the same time down there by giving people a little privacy. Lots of individual pod kind of things these days, so that you can kind of set up your own little office there for a while and have a lot of privacy, even though there may be a lot of stuff going on around you. And I kind of would like to order one of those things for myself, but yeah. And then the big piece of furniture I thought for the year was the stool. The stool is like the in thing right now. Some of them don't move. I mean, like you sit on it and it doesn't move out from under you. But some of them are meant to be wobbly so that your core engages while you're sitting on them. And of course, you'd want to know it was wobbly before you sat on it. But like at a desk or something, if it was your own, it would be really good. And the children's furniture was adorable and to die for. Yeah, they really, lots of good stuff for the munchkins. So we had a blast, and it felt like a very well-timed conference that what we went to, and we've got so much context now for what we're looking for. It was really helpful. And would you add anything to that, Laura?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It was really fun, and the weather was awesome.
Yeah.
The weather was great.
It was not hot.
It was not hot. And it was beautiful blue skies.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It's a beautiful picture.
It is. It is. It was not hot.
Maureen, before we head on into the building project, we may want to find a place on the agenda. DA informed me this evening, just before this meeting, he gets the foundation report.
Yeah, and that would come under communications.
You want that under communications?
Yeah, because that's usually when, like, Linda does her thing.
Okay.
If it's Friends or Foundation or whatever, that's a perfect spot for it.
Okay.
Great.
Where to be.
Yeah, now we know.
Okay, any questions about the director's report?
No.
Okay. Building report. And DA, you can jump in on this, too. You're so much more eloquent than I am.
I don't know where you get that.
Well, because I always feel like I'm stumbling around with my words, that's where. So, we submitted all our documents at the 90% review, and that's being reviewed by Public Works, and we're hoping that they're all done with their review by the groundbreaking.
Right.
We put in like our calendar, like the maximum time that we thought they would need, which was 8 weeks, right?
That's right.
So,
We think they'll take it all.
that's fine, just as long as they don't take over.
That's right.
Yeah. So, as you have all probably noted, the work on the relocation of the utilities is well underway. The slide and the swing came down without any fanfare on June 22nd. It was reported to me that somebody was trying to steal them on the evening of June 22nd, or 23rd. So they were moved very quickly off to a site that Public Works
scrap?
has.
Were people
I
saying
don't
for
know.
scrap?
I don't know. But
Who
some patron who was paying attention at night, sitting around in the park, called 911 and got the cops down there real fast. But of course, the two
Probably
people.
someone was charging their phone and using the free
I
Wi-Fi.
know, who
You gotta
knows,
be thankful
right?
for them.
Yeah. So anyway, they are secure for our future potential sculpture. And people are still asking all the time what might happen to them. So I'm really happy to report we have an answer that is better than scrapping. That's not the answer they would want to hear. So I'm really glad we have an alternative.
No, but stolen isn't a bad.
Well, stolen. So DA, was that you? No, was that you, DA?
Maybe you're being recorded.
Exactly.
You always auction them off for the highest bidder, just raise money for the library.
Yeah. Yeah. There were a lot of people who wanted to put them up in their own yard.
I bet.
Yeah. Or better yet, their grandmother's yard. And the slide goodbye party was very, very nice. Doug was there.
Of course.
And it worked out really well. it made a lot of people happy. Laura was
Yeah,
there
you
with
did
her
you
boys.
guys did a really nice job
Thank
on it.
you.
I thought it was perfect in terms of the amount and just the.
Struck the right note, I hope.
It was friendly. It was great.
Yeah, and everybody was friendly. It was super. I was very pleased too. And I got a lot of kudos for doing it. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, sure. Why not? 2 hours of my life, you betcha. Well, no, I mean, seriously. I mean, that's, it was an appropriate acknowledgement, I felt.
Yes.
And then one thing I want to see if I could get a motion from you guys on. We were hoping to go to the City Commission next week and ask them for approval of the GMP, the Guaranteed Maximum Price, but we're not ready for that. So what that means is that there are certain items that the contractors have to order ahead of time because they have very long lead times. And so we're going to be going to the City Commission next week and asking for that. That would have been like something that was all wrapped up in what they would do under the GMP. And it's still under that price and that budget. It's not extra money or anything like that. But it's an expenditure that is otherwise not approved because it would have been approved under that. So, so I'm going to be going to them next week. And what I'd really like for you guys to do, even though I don't have an amount of how much it's going to cost or anything, but if you could approve or recommend to the City Commission that that request be approved, I think that would be appropriate, so that they know that you know what's going on. And even if I don't, and I can get those amounts to you when I know what they are.
Mo, do we know what the categories are? Is it only structural steel?
I
or
think
is
it might be a little bit more than that, but it's
Something else.
basically steel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Surprised. So tonight you'd like a motion on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Make such a recommendation.
well, I'll second that.
Okay, so we have first and second discussion.
Discuss?
Well, I just want to
This is
reiterate
straightforward.
that what we're doing is recommending they issue
Right.
actually approve a change order to the contractor's
Here.
contract.
Right, but it's it's something that
but
it has to be done. We're just
Yes.
asking for this part of it to be done early before everything else is approved,
Yes.
so that we get a lead time, get ahead of the game, so we can streamline everything down the road.
And there
Right.
that won't impact the GMP in its final form.
No, because it's coming out of there anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye. Great, thank you. So let's see what else. So the groundbreaking planning is moving forward. And then the other thing we decided that you probably don't know about is that we have moved the tree appreciation concept away from the groundbreaking and split those two things apart,
Good idea.
so that, as somebody said, we don't have sad people at a happy event. That makes sense to me. So that event is going to be on August 3rd, Monday night, 7 p.m. So that's just the Monday before the groundbreaking. That's the tree appreciation ceremony. And we're just putting out flyers about that now. And it will be very simple. I'm hoping to line up maybe somebody from one of the native tribes to do a blessing. I've invited somebody from the Unitarian Church to maybe say a few words, do a blessing, but they're kind of in between pastors, so doing my best, because they live right there too, and that just felt very appropriate. And then we're going to just do some tree rubbings. We're going to eat the rest of the popsicles that left over from the slide party. And if somebody else can think of something else, we'll do that too. But I'll put ribbons around the trees that are going to come down so everybody knows clearly what they are. It's 4 elms and 1 maple is what's coming down. So, and the maple, I think, we're hoping specifically that that will be nice wood. So, but as you know, we're going to, take a peek at all of those trees, and if we can save wood from all of those, we'll deal with that when we know if they're not rotten. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got the tree appreciation ceremony on Monday, and then on Wednesday we're having our groundbreaking author event, because the Tuesday of that week is National Night Out. So the Wednesday night, so the authors had to move to Wednesday night. It's also the same night that we're getting our GMP approved, that we're coming to the commission for our GMP. And that is going to consist of Hannah Gildia, who is on the front page of the Oregon City News today. She is Raymond Rendelman's wife. He's the reporter who does the Oregon City News. And she won some big national award for one of her stories. So they've kind of helped me with this concept. And then Trevor Dodge from Clackamas Community College, your buddy, Trevor, he's my man. And Margaret Malone, who is a short story writer. So we'll have those three people, and I think that will be really interesting because we don't do short fiction very much. So Michelle's getting a flyer out on that, and it's really cute. And then the groundbreaking on Saturday, and you know, I'm still trying to decide who all will have shovels in hand because I kind of hear it's supposed to be the city commission and not much more, and so don't get too offended if you're not in that group.
No, I'll be there though. So
Great.
It's on my calendar.
Great. Yeah. And that will be kind of the foundation kickoff, which we may hear more about. So anyway, that planning is coming under control with a lot of help from people, which is awesome. And then the other big news is that we had the PRAC meeting, and yeah, and it seems that we've come to a resolution. We have the 8-foot slide, which is going to be metal. And we have the 10-foot swing, and then we're going to have the rubberized surface.
How does that compare with what was in place? What was the footage?
So the slide right now is supposedly a 10-foot. I mean, it looks like it's 100 feet to me, but it's 10 feet. Yeah. And the swing is 10 foot, the existing. So it's the same size swing.
It's large.
Yeah. But it's the structure is formatted in upside down U, so it takes up less space.
Okay.
So they've mapped it out, and all that fits. And then the surface is what the Parks Department recommended.
Right.
And after a lot of discussion, the advisory committee agreed with them on that. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we are.
So what happened? Because like last month, there's like going nowhere.
Well, in between, we had a meeting offline and talked about what we agree about and talked about what we didn't agree about. And then, I mean, it was a very, very good meeting. It really, really helped a lot, set a much better tone. And I think that the thing with the PRAC meeting, and I'll take some responsibility for this, is that, you know, we knew that this was all kind of going on, but we didn't really, I don't think the PRAC board had enough information going into the meeting. So when they started hearing all this stuff, I think they were really taken by surprise, and it was kind of the first time they were hearing certain things, like certain bits of research, that then they're like, well, wait a minute, we need more time to digest this. And so, you know, considering we didn't set them up very well for that, you know, hindsight, it's fabulous. We thought we gave them lots of information. It just, maybe we did, but it wasn't all the right information. So,
Yeah.
well, we'll see. I mean, there's a resolution to it, but, you know, everybody gave a little bit. It's so, as we've learned from the library itself, that kind of helps get people if everybody gives a little. So
I realize it's sort of off topic, but as far as the swing goes, are they going to have a handicap option for it?
at this time, there's not. Yeah. But at least the surface is something a chair could go onto.
Yeah.
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 So that helps. Let's see here. And we started getting the public art process going. And I sent out my notice to all the neighbors, and I've also now got a website spot that is formatted more like what Public Works likes to see on projects. And I did new FAQs in June, and I just am in the process of posting new ones today. So, and that's just more about like, well, what can you expect for parking when the construction starts, and, you know, all those questions that my staff get all the time. I just tell my staff, just give me all the questions you get, and we'll just try and then when I write the answers to these questions, staff, please can you read these, so then you'll know the answers, or at least something to tell people. So that's going on, and then you can see I put a note on here, the Willamette Valley Family Center, which is the business across the street on Jefferson. They wrote a letter of objection to our staging plan. So, because there will be no parking on the library side of Jefferson. And if we want to keep the street two-way, if we want to keep Jefferson two-way, Public Works would like us to not have parking on the other side of Jefferson, underneath where the staff parking lot is, the current staff parking lot, which even cuts down on parking more for them. So I went over there today, which was really great because I got a tour of that house, and it's gorgeous. Oh my gosh, the built-ins in that place are incredible, just incredible. And talked to them a little bit about the situation, and we're gonna get some more questions answered by our Public Works department and bring in our construction site manager, and just so make it as palatable. We can't fix it, all the problems here, but make it as palatable as possible and make sure they know who to complain to, and that would be Dave Van Vleck, the construction manager. I want to make sure they've got his phone number, his like direct phone number. And so, yeah. So anyway, we've started that conversation at least, and trying to address their concerns as well as we can. And what do you have to add to that, DA?
Just that I think the process is actually moving along extremely well. I'm really pleased to see the utility work getting started out there, even though they cut the power to the park.
Yeah. The fire line is complete and working. The electrical inspector was there today to look at the work that's been done on the new electrical whatever thing. They've paved over.
I didn't see the transformer though.
I don't know what they've done.
Yeah, I don't
Nobody's
know.
out there right now, but they've asphalted over where they went into the sidewalk and all that stuff. So I think now they're like getting ready to move to next phase of trenching. And so, I mean, you know, they don't tell me anything, but I can expect a lot of that, right? Yeah. So anyway, they're making progress. And for the most part, what I hear from people is they see that and they're very excited, you know, that like that's a great sign, something's happening, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And the fact that the spray park works, it really helps mitigate the fact that the playground's gone. So thank God for the spray park. That's all I have to say. And that has been nice and hot, and that's where most people have been hanging out anyway, right? So.
From the 5-year-old that I have, we were leaving the library, and I said, "Oh, do you miss the playground?" He goes, "I forgot how it even looked."
There you go.
Just to put it in perspective,
That's great.
you know, and
That's
that was
great.
a focal point that he probably embraced it physically more than any of us, but he's already forgotten how it looks, so, you know.
That's good anecdotal
It
evidence.
is. It's great.
Well, I think it's true that a lot of adults were probably more emotionally tied to the playground than certain kids. I mean, just, you know, and that's okay. That's all right.
But they wouldn't notice. He would notice that the water was gone.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah.
And I think given this heat, I think it's, you know.
Oh, yeah,
Huge.
It was horrible the 2 days that it was not working,
Yeah.
and it was really, really hot.
Yeah.
That was not good. I saw one little boy, I felt so bad. He was about 9 or 10, and he was standing out by the bike rack, out by the corner of 6th and John Adams there, and he was just standing there with a towel around his neck next to his bike, and he said, "I want to get wet. I want to get wet." He was so mad. I was like, ugh. I'm not going to let him know who I am. So, yeah, there were some sad hearts, but we got that fixed. So yeah, everything's moving along. Any questions?
How are you holding up?
Good.
It's
Good.
early yet.
I know, right? Thanks, Fred. Yeah. Yeah, the real complaining hasn't started yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, but we have had a little bit of noise, and so that's been kind of nice to like get a little taste. You know, it's kind of like we're building up to something, you know, because we've been trying to prepare ourselves physically by cleaning and moving stuff so that we can live in reduced circumstances, you know. And that's been really good because one thing, you know, like the staff room was just an absolute, you go in there and you're just like, I can't even eat lunch in here because it's so crowded. I can't even think enough to eat, you know, kind of thing. At least that's how my brain works. And although nothing prevents me from eating, so. But it's nice and clear now because we're not going to have access to that room. So we've cleaned out all kinds of things. And I'm like, why have we not been living like this the whole time? Because it's so much more refreshing. So like, note to self, do not let the new library get cluttered. You know, that's going to be kind of, you know, we're going to want to fill that space. Because I have a few hoarders.
Good lesson.
I have a few hoarders, yeah. And
In the library?
yeah, right? And I mean, I know I worked in Eugene Public Library shortly after it was built. And the library director just had to have an iron fist. I mean, to keep people from putting stuff up on walls and banging into walls and doing this and doing that. I mean, you just really, yeah. So it's pretty interesting.
Maureen, just an idea occurred about noise, that we might be able to mitigate some of that noise for the duration of the project if we early on get those interior storm windows up.
Oh, we might be able to, yeah.
That could really help cut the
Do that early.
Let's see if the contractor can't get interested in that as an
Okay.
early phase thing, and that really wouldn't impact your operations much getting those up. Because I suspect that's a two-man show, so, and that really would cut sound.
That might be nice.
Okay.
At least, yeah, I mean, because that wall in the back, that's what they're working on, and yeah, that would
Okay.
work, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We can talk about that.
Mhm.
Get it going.
That sounds good. So, no questions, all happy? It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're not meeting until after all this stuff has happened. Then. So.
Yeah, our next meeting is not until, what, August 12th?
Well-
Yeah. So that'll be good, though. We can, like, debrief the groundbreaking, and we'll, yeah.
Well, one thing that'll happen though is the GMP will get established and approved.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, GMP.
Yeah, but that'll all be approved at commission level before we really formally hear about it.
Right. That's true. Do we need to talk about that at
I
all?
wonder if we need to, and I don't know if this is the right moment to do that. But that's we've traditionally now made a recommendation to the commission before they made the approvals. And unless some disaster happens tomorrow, I think we're going to find out that the GMP is going to be okay, and the budget will be good, so.
Well, and if it's not, we're going to have to fix it.
Right.
You know? So what we could do is we could ask the library board to move to recommend the approval of the GMP as long as it fits within the existing budget.
Okay, so that saves us having a second meeting this month.
It does. I was.
Yeah,
I
that'd
thought
be-
we were
Move as
going
so
to do that,
stated.
so.
So you made the motion?
I'm making a motion to accept exactly what she just said. Move it forward.
And then I'll second that.
Okay.
So-
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Well, I think the reason we can be confident in this is that if it isn't right, they're not proceeding.
Correct.
So-
Right.
so
Right, exactly.
We're going to have it right, and I think
Yeah.
we have every confidence that it's going to be right.
Mm-hmm.
By suggesting that
It's
they
in
move
the budget.
forward, as long as it's within budget and, everything's cool, aesthetic, let's just move it forward, streamline this thing as fast as possible. We've waited too long for this.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Saves us a meeting.
It does.
Yeah.
And then we can go forward in confidence that you guys, even if you don't know exact amounts, in theory, as long as
Yeah,
we're on
thought that would
target.
have been a better move anyway, so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's true.
Guys are not as educated on this stuff as.
I know.
So we're very, very happy to have you representing us in this manner.
Thank you.
It's been fabulous. You,
We're having a good time.
Yeah, and you bring so much knowledge. It's really helpful.
Thanks.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Okay.
And fun.
Blushing through his tan.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Communications.
Well, I've got the report from the foundation.
Okay,
Okay.
go on.
The foundation, the most important thing to know is they've got $12,000 now.
I think 13, actually.
There was a $1,000 donation this month. The Friends is scheduled to hand over 75 grand at the grand opening. That'll go to the foundation, and they're going to sit on it, and it won't go to the city right away.
75,000?
Yeah, and I think that the commitment from the Friends is for another 25, but they haven't fully raised that.
That's good.
That's very good.
Right.
So the money probably will transfer over later when they've got the whole amount, or there's still more discussion about how and when the dollars are actually going to transfer. So, but that's where they are right now, and there are a couple of grants in the works, and Mo's mostly right in the center of that. I don't know if I need to talk much more about that. It's just that there are a couple of grants in the works. And then under fundraising, there's been a meeting that's prioritizing a list of potential donors, and they're working on how they're going to approach those donors. And that's just going to be ongoing, but they're really focused right now on the campaign and opening up as the ground breaks. So I know they're going to have a big participation in that day. They did have one fundraising activity already, which was a golf tournament. The Oregon City Chamber of Commerce chose the Library Foundation as the recipient, one of the recipients of the funds that come from the golf tournament that the chamber sponsored. And so the foundation people got in there and got up a booth, had cookies, had a barrel or a wheelbarrow of beer,
Yeah,
for raffle and stuff like
beer
that.
and books.
Oh, that's right.
We had to throw a few books in there. It would have been
Basically,
unseemly otherwise. Yeah.
And so that went well, and it took a bunch of volunteers. I don't have a report here on what the actual proceeds are that came from the.
I don't either.
know. And then one of the things that will be happening with the groundbreaking is there'll be a raffle there, and they're going to be selling off 100 in effect tickets. They're kind of squares that they're going to go for $25 a piece, and I can't remember what the whole point of that was. Somebody's going to win something.
I think, aren't they giving away one of the drawer?
Oh, that's right.
Is that what it is?
It's the donation.
Chance to
drawer.
win
Yes.
one of the donation drawer things.
That's right. That's what it is.
And do you know what we're talking about when we
No.
say that?
No.
So, this has to do with you. So we're going to have this wall that is out by the display case and the large print books now. So that's going to be a wall with two sides, and it's going to have storage underneath, and it'll have a top. But on each of the sides it will look like a fake card catalog. So it'll look like a card catalog, but it'll be fake. So it'll be all the way up and down, and there's like space for 200. And we're going to sell each of those for $250. And so in the little nameplate where you would put the Dewey number or the author span or whatever, that will be where the donor's name will go. And I'm thinking those will probably be like brass etched nice little things. So I think it's going to look really cool, and it'll be in the Carnegie section, so it will look really appropriate. And it's kind of at this amount where we thought, multiple people could kind of afford it.
Yeah.
without, too much pain, so that people have a way to, this is instead of pavers or something like that. And actually, and a lot easier to find your name later. We were just talking about that today. So, I think it forms a really important function because it helps extend our circulation room, because you'll remember that because of the kind of funky layout we have to go with, our circulation area is still going to be in that same room, but it's going to have an automated materials handler in there. And so to extend the circulation area, that creates a storage space for carts and for crates that we do courier with. And then it just creates this really good looking wall that can be used for donors. So we're pretty excited about the idea, and we drew inspiration from partially you, Mr. Mayor Neely.
And when else will they be? There's a raffle to potentially win one of them, but when will they be opened for sale, and how?
They might be open for sale that day, starting
So
that
only
day.
that day, or
Then it would be the kickoff for
Okay,
yeah.
And there's 200 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So there's a limited amount available.
That's a good idea.
And we're going to use the card catalog that Mayor Neely donated to the library as like kind of our display thing to give people a visual.
The one in the library
Originally, yeah. So there you go, which is very cool.
So anyway, that's so the board meets. What happens is the foundation board meets right at the end of the month, and so this will just be a little report I can give you the next week, routinely. Okay.
Thanks, Dia.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other communications? Okay. Anything else for the good of the order?
I think, a lot of the things that we talked about were like kind of before we got to this point,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.